This video is a bit of house cleaning, gathering up some bits and pieces that aren't long enough for their own video, but ideas that I wanted to put out there anyway. First of all, Davis Mallinger. We haven't heard an update on him in quite a long time. My original impression was that he was expected to be at least practicing by the beginning of the season. And the media is not asking. I don't know if that's because they've quietly been told not to bring up the subject, or if they just aren't doing a good job. Now, Neal Brown has essentially almost entirely stopped doing injury updates just as a standard part of his press conferences. He used to go through a fairly complete list before getting to the question and answer period. Now he might or might not give an update on a major player, but when he is asked by the media, he has still given open as complete answer as he can. He's not refusing to answer questions. He's just not bringing it up. I kind of think that's a quiet protest on his part, is how this secrecy has become such a big part of college football. But again, if he were serious about being secretive, he wouldn't answer the questions when asked. So somebody needs to ask about Davis Mallinger. If I am home when the next Kegler show is going, I will send a text question. But I'm also curious, if Mallinger does come back to play, will he still be a receiver? That room has gotten rather crowded. And it's got a significant amount of speed that it didn't have before. So unless they are looking forward more to next year, when several of the guys will be gone, maybe Mallinger moves back to defense, at least for this year, where things are thinner. I don't know. Maybe that question is the crux. I wish somebody would ask. Hudson Clement, of course, a popular subject. And we were hearing about him in spring and fall camp. Nobody quite expected what happened against Duquesne. And don't think it's going to happen every week. That may be the biggest game of his career, even if he starts every game for the next 4 years. But he will be starting this week, which I think is partly a reward for his performance, partly a way of telling Braham and Aaron to get their act together. And it's also sort of a test of consistency, because let's not forget, one of Clement's 2 drawbacks has been consistency. So we have to see him put games and plays together. What Coach Brown calls stacking days. And his blocking still leaves a lot to be desired. And he has to clear that up. No two ways about it. If you want to be a top receiver, you have to be willing and able to block. So how he'll start, how much will he play, how much will the other plays? Because we do still need to get Braham and Aaron going and involved. That's the problem with having so many receivers, trying to get them all involved enough to get a feel for the game, for the flow. But the main thing I was going to mention with Clement, they hadn't really talked about his speed before. Turns out he hit 22.7 miles per hour on the GPS. I couldn't hit 22.7 miles per hour if you set my butt on fire. And, 21 is considered pretty elite. 22, he almost hit 23 miles per hour. And he's still only considered the second fastest on the team. Probably after Horton. Which raises the question, if Clement hits 22.7 and is second fastest, just how fast is Horton? And if we go back, remember when Nicco Marchiol told us that we'd be seeing lightning on the field and it would make us smile? A lot of people assumed he was talking about Horton. Didn't seem quite right to me since Horton's speed was already known. Maybe Clement is the lightning. Sure made us smile, didn't it? Also want to point out that fake screen pass to Gallagher that went for the easy touchdown to Clement hasn't gotten talked about nearly enough, because that was just a beautiful play design and perfect execution. There were 3 defenders over there. All 3 bit hard on the fake to Gallagher, which left Clement behind everybody. Yes, it was Duquesne. They're a good team. They're well coached. They still fell for it. Now, I don't expect other teams to bite that hard because the play's on film. This is why you don't show everything. But what other plays has that imp Chad Scott been coming up with? I think it was Jalen Anderson or Justin Johnson, I think, was talking about Scott coming up with creative play designs. I think we saw one. What are they going to run off of that? You know, sooner or later it's going to be the screen to Gallagher, which of course then sets up faking the screen again. I think we're going to see a lot of these creative plays. And if they are executed as well as this one, it's going to be fun for the team, for the WVU fans. Fans of the other team, not so much. Now I'm going to get grumpy. Reading the football boards, watching the videos, and I came across these claims that Coach Brown must not like Nicco Marchiol. Now, of course, this is the same utter bullcrap that we heard about Coach Brown and Garrett Green. The reasoning, if you want to even call it reasoning, is that since Brown isn't playing Marchiol all the time, and he actually said some negative things, by golly, he pointed out that Marchiol isn't perfect. Yeah. Now, he said a whole long list of great things about Marchiol and how great Marchiol is going to be down the road. But he also talked about what Marchiol has to fix to get there. He made it clear the talent's there. and made it clear that this is just normal. This is normal progression. It takes time because talent needs training. Same we had with Green. Green took a little longer. Marchiol will probably not take as long. But it takes time. And it's not because Coach Brown doesn't like Marchiol, Green, or other players. It takes time. Talent plus training. And of course plus effort and a lot of other things. But especially talent, training, time. And this goes along with the claim that wouldn't die that Brown just won't play young players, that he keeps the talent on the bench. Well, guess what? The freaking talent isn't yet trained, or in some cases doesn't yet have enough muscle. You come in 18 years old going up against these guys, who've been in programs for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years now. You need a little extra bulk in the right places before you're really ready. And Brown plays players when they are ready, to the extent that they are ready. Shoot, he may have played Traven Ray a little too much. Between the work and practice and the games, there were some, injury issues. Might be part of why Donaldson got injured last year. Body wasn't quite ready for what he was doing. It was still just bad luck too. But you try to push the envelope. You don't push it beyond reason. We're seeing, Jaheim White goes out and runs for over 100 yards against Duquesne. Does that mean he should be the starting or even the number 2 running back now? No. There are still deficiencies in his game. Probably still limits to what plays he's really comfortable with. And Chad Scott pointed out one of the things that he was really happy about was against Duquesne, White did not just depend on his speed. He read the defenses, took the right cut, the right hole. And this had evidently been a problem that, because in high school, speed was all he needed. Talent was enough in high school. You get to Power 5 college level, and there are guys on the defense who are as fast as you are, or guys who are smart enough to get there first, even if they aren't smart enough, or fast enough, excuse me. Didn't mean to insult anybody. So, if you want to play Power 5 football, you have to up your game. Talent isn't enough to get your butt off the bench. Talent, training, time. Now, the players seem to understand that. Green understood it enough to wait for years for his opportunity, and he spent his time training and building up his body. Marchiol understands. Pretty dang sure Jaheim White understands. Yeah, they all want to play. They'd love to be in there for every play, offense, defense, and special teams. You want that kind of player who wants to be everywhere all the time. You also want the players who are smart enough to know why that's not a good idea. And it would be nice if we had more fans who understood the same thing. If the players know this and have talked about it in many interviews, why are fans still saying Neal Brown won't play younger players? Let it die as it should. He plays the players when they are ready, to the extent that they are ready. And getting them ready means development. The reason these players do well much of the time when given a chance is because the coaches have developed them, which is, of course, another nonsensical claim about Brown, that he doesn't develop players. And then when he does develop players, people either claim, well, they did it themselves, they worked hard, they're good. Or they say, well, gee, if they're this good, why haven't they been playing all the time? Because they needed the training and the time. Coach Brown knows what he's doing. And I'm pretty dang sure that he knows more about football and coaching than I do, and more than the fans do. So consider when you say some of these things that you just might be wrong. I might be wrong. That's always a possibility. For all I know, I don't even exist. I may just be the figment of, fevered dream of some giant alien cockroach. Then again, I may be right. Now, let's go beat Pitt and get on. See you later.